Good morning and welcome to For Fantasy's Sake, the Quad City's first and only fantasy football show. I'm your host, Doug Green, who has nothing witty to say this week because he didn't realize it was 10 until the music started. He's Chris, he's DJ. Boys, it's week 5, and there's already football going on. They've got wacky stuff over in London.
Doug, you should have started off with DJ was missing last week, so he's obviously partying it up with Urban Meyer. That's the only actual response that we can accept for DJ missing the show.
Could be.
DJ was just staying to see the grandkids.
Yes. Any lap dances last week, Deej?
I plead the fifth.
He's already running for cover, Doug. We got him.
Not any that were caught on video.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. So week 5, so the London game is currently on. They are in halftime. Falcons are up 20-3 because the Jets suck. I hope Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts seem to be the only ones worth starting in this game. So I hope that you had those fired up. If you started
good for Kyle Pitts, because we've been waiting for that big game from him, and finally we get one.
They were just saying that they talked to him and lead up for the game, and he said this is the longest period of time in his life he's gone without a touchdown. And I mean, obviously he's like one of the best, tight end prospects ever, and so why would he go more than 3 games or 4 games without a touchdown in his life? So I would be curious to see if he caught a touchdown in Florida's bowl game to see, if that streak's actually 5 games or something. Mm-hmm. But I guess there was the preseason, but nobody cares about that. So, but DJ, I mean, preseason and college football bowls that aren't in the actual playoff don't matter. So
that's true. I haven't been paying enough attention. Why did Calvin Ridley miss this game? I only saw personal listed. What happened?
I don't know. That's all I saw.
That's all we saw as well. Yeah, it was funny because, well, not funny. Let's not make a joke. But Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage were kind of both ruled out, within a few hours of each other. So, and you obviously expected bigger games. I don't, out of Patterson, but he got a concussion early on. Mike Davis has been kind of non-existent much of the year. So
I feel good about my whole Mike Davis thing last year because I kept saying he was bad, even though he kept putting up numbers. And this year he turned back into Mike Davis, so I'm happy with myself.
Speaking of bad, how about Chris's internet today?
I know. DJ level
That's
bad.
Amazing.
I might have infected Chris at work or something with bad internet.
That's a virus. All right. Did you want to fire up your ranking screen there?
Do I ever?
So we can make fun of all of your incorrect rankings?
I mean, at least the tabs are correct because you're not sharing them.
Mm-hmm. All right, Josh Allen, Kyler, Lamar Jackson, blah, 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 blah. Daniel Jones at 12 is the only one that I can fault.
Why at 12, Doug? Why do you think? Is that too high or too low?
I feel like there's guys I would have over him.
So Jones has looked decent this season. He's number 9 overall in points per game. And the Cowboys, I mean, they've been kind of a sieve defensively against quarterbacks. They've allowed the 4th most points. Now, granted, we will say they have kind of faced they faced Brady and Herbert, but Sam Darnold looked really good against them last week. 2 touchdowns through the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground. And Daniel Jones also, they looked very susceptible to allowing yards on the ground from the quarterback. And that's one thing Daniel Jones does fairly well if he can stay on his feet. So I think that, I would have I flirted with putting him at 10. But, it's hard, especially the way Herbert's played this year. It's hard to knock him down any further.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of agree with that. I think Daniel Jones is a really good daily fantasy play as well. Maybe one of the best values out there. And we'll probably hear about that more when we get to our daily fantasy segment a little later on. But Daniel Jones has a certain floor built in because he can rush for like 40 yards a game. So just adding that on, he's probably going to throw at least a touchdown in there. That's going to get you to 10. And then his yards is probably going to get you somewhere around that 20 range the rest of the way. So that's a easy start most of the time for a manager who has a Daniel Jones laying around.
Jones is kind of like those top 3 dudes who are in this rankings where he's going to get you basically an extra touchdown a game out of his legs. Not an actual physical cross the goal line touchdown, but a touchdown points wise.
But it even could be, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you don't know. You obviously can get the bonus of him crossing the goal line, but you got to feel like you're going to get 40 to 60 yards on the ground out of him. He's not. He's on that side of as a runner, but and less of a scrambler. But you do feel good about those extra 4 to 6 points a week at least out of his legs.
Well, and Doug, you noticed the DJ said the top 3 guys because that 4th guy is straight garbage, right?
Well, that fourth guy's a scrambler, not a rusher.
Okay.
And so I think you're happy with 2.5 points at him. If he rushes for 30 yards, you're pretty happy.
I wish to point out, before we get too deep into the show, that both Chicago and Kansas City carry the same record. However, one of them is last place in their division, and one of them is not.
Are we able to agree here that not all 2-2 teams are created equally?
No, not at this juncture.
All right, that's fine.
Get him, Doug.
This may be my only shot this season to take that shot. So I'm.
No, I'll allow it. And I actually hadn't forwarded on to my next screen. Daniel Jones is actually QB6 this year, so he's number 9 overall, but QB6. So.
Mm-hmm. I don't like Jalen Hurts. I don't like him in this matchup either. I think Carolina's defense is incredibly good. If you look back at what they've been doing the last 2 or 3 years, they've been drafting almost entirely defense, and it's really coming to fruition this year. You're seeing them really kind of ascend to a whole new level.
And I haven't really seen much since it happened. J.C. Horn did go down, but they replaced him with Stephon Gilmore. One thing with Hurts is they did show last week a little bit touchy on defense. Dallas put up a lot of points. Dak threw 4 touchdowns, all but only 188 yards. So, Hurts is going to have plenty of opportunities to chuck the ball and put up some points.
Yeah, I think Carolina's defense has allowed just 573 net yards so far this year,
right,
which is pretty incredible. And we don't talk about him enough, but Burns for the Panthers, he's probably in that elite company where he's not going to be Myles Garrett, but he's probably going to be similar to Myles Garrett or somebody who's going to be just about as good here.
Right. I'm trying to think about what that would be, who would be the comparable edge rusher there.
Yeah,
maybe
he's not quite in that Myles Garrett territory, but he's probably, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It's hard to quantify. It's probably he's more of a Joey Bosa type of player.
Could see that.
Well, so we're talking already about IDP, and we didn't even intend to, but you might as well add Hunter Renfrow too, because he's the best safety in the league apparently.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Raiders and trying to get us back on quarterback talk, how do you feel about Derek Carr? Me and Mr. Sicoli had a little chat about him last Monday night. How do you guys kind of feel about Derek Carr? See, I would have Joe Burrow ahead of Daniel Jones and Tannehill and Derek Carr, but that's just me. But how are we feeling about Mr. Carr this season?
He's been, over the last few years, just super accurate on the deep passes. And, he's shown that a few times finding Ruggs, but he's kind of really struggled on those intermediate. And the Vegas offensive line hasn't done a great job of protecting him either. So, I think that's where you've seen a lot of some of the struggles he's had is been on situations where he's kind of had to chuck it all of a sudden.
Yeah. I think that with Vegas, they have been missing Richie Incognito the entire season so far, and he's kind of their veteran anchor that they want to be like in charge of that line. So they've had to shuffle guys around a lot. DJ's right to cross sports a little bit here. He's kind of a Joey Gallo where he's trying to hit a home run. If he doesn't hit a home run, he's not taking a single. So that's the only problem.
Is Derek Carr the three true outcomes of football?
Well, with football, there's multiple outcomes because you can throw it up there and you can get a completion. You can throw it up there and get an incompletion, but you can also throw it up there and get a flag, and that's just as good. You don't get the
Or an
yards, but it's just as good.
Or an interception. So interceptions are kind of the strikeouts, and deep balls are the home runs.
But you got tipped interceptions. So
yeah, we need to. I think one of those things that would be an interesting if we had a platform that could support that and everything. It'd be kind of cool if maybe we didn't penalize quarterbacks for tipped interception. We also have a situation where receivers get points for defensive pass interferences. Maybe like on a 50-yard pass, you get 2.5 points for it being a DPI. Those would be fun.
Yes, I think they do stat those a little bit, though.
Points for
yeah. We just need to find a website that facilitates
that can incorporate that into fantasy,
or a commissioner who has all the time to do that.
Yeah,
which is not me. Maybe in yesteryear. Go ahead.
How do you feel about Trey Lance? Because I think people are saying that he's going to be like a top 5 option this week. I just don't think it's going to be as. I don't think he's coming out firing the way everybody believes he's going to.
Right. And Arizona's defense has been pretty darn good this year. So,
why is Trey Lance ahead? Trey Lance making his first start against a pretty good defense, higher than Justin Fields, who's making his third start against a lower tier defense.
Not that excited about Justin Fields. I was even going to say this.
I quit. That's it. I'm done.
I think that once you get to the 13-15 range, I'm not very confident in starting these quarterbacks this week.
I like Taylor Heineke a lot. I don't like him in this matchup, though, because New Orleans has probably one of the better secondaries in the league when you take a look at their guys. I love the connection that he has with McLaurin. I think they're going to take each other to really high places, but I don't like this matchup for them. It just doesn't make sense. After watching what Trevor Lawrence did on Thursday night last week, DJ, are you a believer in him? Is he going to start being the player that we all saw in college? Because I think the signs of life were there last week.
I think I'm kind of on starting. I was not on your boat before, but I think I'm on your boat. And I think that if we want Trevor Lawrence to take that next step and become a QB1 every single week, I think that we might need somebody else with the headset on the sidelines. I think, and I honestly wondered if maybe this whole situation was his way of, oh man, I guess I better resign. You know what I mean? Was Urban Meyer's way of not having egg on his face and leave at the same time. So,
yeah.
Get
him out with his morals clause or something like that.
Yeah. Or, him saying, how people like just all of a sudden resign because they're caught up in some bull crap,
Right. And he wasn't going to make the trip over. I don't know. If they were going to find a time to get rid of him, it would have been when they had an extra long week without it being a bye
and he didn't even
like that.
Yeah, and he didn't even travel home with the team. Right. Such weird stuff. But no, I think you could see Lawrence move up, depending on the matchup. I know Chark's hurt. I think that just get healthy as the team gets healthy. They're definitely going to have the number 1 pick, but I don't see them going winless this year.
The ability for Lawrence to scramble around, I think, really opened up things for him, and it made
those lead options were really good.
Yeah, it made him more involved in the game. I know that's got to be silly to say when you're a quarterback, but he looked like he was able to process things better because he wasn't thinking about them because he got out on the move. Ryan Tannehill's one that I'm really perplexed by because this team should be better than that. I know they were down both of their wide receivers last week, but I've thought that Ryan Tannehill would have put up a lot better numbers this season.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in the early talks, is this guy, MVP caliber quarterback? Can he do it again? And so far, Tennessee's been maybe the biggest disappointment.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna since Doug quit on us, I'm gonna take us to commercial. And on the other side, as long as his internet gets back up, we're going to be joined by Brian to talk a little DFS. What do football fanatics in the Quad Cities love more than Sunday football? Tailgating and partying before, during, and after their favorite college football games. Shout out Hawkeyes yesterday on that big W over the Penn State Nittany Lions. And Mobile Party Experience has the hookup for all your tailgating needs. Mobile Party Experience offers solutions for all types of party throwers and goers. They have towable trailers that offer music, TVs, gaming, private bathrooms with running water and flushable toilets, beverage dispensers, coolers with grills and utensils, tables, chairs, and tents. They have all the amenities that you could want or need to host a tailgate, party, or event. Find them at their website, my-mpx.com, or on Facebook at Mobile Party Experience. Sunday's still the best day at Kavanaugh's Hilltop Bar and Grill. While your favorite jamokes aren't on the deck talking fantasy football, they're still one of the best places in the Quad Cities for your football viewing pleasures. Their back deck is ready to go for football season. The sides are up and the heat is on to protect you from Mother Nature, where you can enjoy the Bears, Packers, or any of your favorite out-of-market teams. If outside isn't your thing, you can head on in to the remodeled inside bar area and watch NFL Sunday Ticket on their numerous screens and play their adult video games. I hear they have the loosest slots in the Quad Cities. That's Kavanaugh's Hilltop Bar and Grill, 1228 30th Street in Rock Island, the non-bubble home of For Fantasy's Sake. Football season's just underway, and if you spend Sundays watching football anywhere else but Band's Pizza Pub and Grill, you've been doing it wrong. Band's Pizza Pub and Grill, 3333 North Harrison Street in Davenport, is the best place to catch all your favorite football games, and there's still time to make it part of your Sunday routine. Start your meal off with their famous McGuire's Original Nachos or Bready Nuggets. Then ask about one of their original QC-style pies. Or be your own quarterback, call an audible and create your own. The Vans crew will be sure your play call hits pay dirt every time. Vans Pizza Pub and Grill, 3333 North Harrison Street in Davenport. Come get served. How you doing, Brian?
Good. How are y'all doing this morning?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Doug's a little mad at me because I besmirched Mr. Justin Fields' name. So we're doing great. So I'm going to ask my favorite question. Who you stacking this week, Brian?
Well, I went up going with Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler, but like I mentioned in my article, it's kind of a tough week. We've got a lot of our top tier players out this week. We got they're at least not part of the main slate because you got a really nice Sunday night game between the Chiefs and the Bills. So you just got a lot of your top players out. But once again, I went with Eckler and Herbert just because they've been doing so well the last couple of weeks.
So I was going to say it, in the last segment, and I decided to hold it off for this conversation. One of the stacks when I was looking through that I was actually really intrigued by was Daniel Jones and Kenny Galladay.
It's a good stack. It's definitely one of those, especially for larger.
Oh, I think we lost you, Brian.
See, it's not just my internet, DJ. Take that.
Are you still there?
Now we got you. We got you.
There we go. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of coming in now. It's gone out with me a couple times this morning while I've been watching. But yeah, that's definitely that Galladay and Jones is definitely a good play, especially for larger tournaments, I feel.
Daniel Jones just looks like a good value there. Is that a good play just on his own, Brian, since he's around 6,000? It seems like they're kind of undervaluing him just based off of his team.
Can you repeat that? I was having difficulty on my end.
Daniel Jones seems like a really good value at 6,000, looking at the quarterbacks that are available for these slates. Do you think that even on his own, he's a good value, or do they undervalue him because of his team? Is there something we're not seeing here?
No, I mean, I actually, in terms of the last question with Galladay and Jones, I would almost prefer.
Don't. Welcome to For Fantasy's Sake on Sunday, where we're lucky if Doug is the only person with the undisputed great internet connection.
And he runs away because that's Doug's thing.
Yeah.
Doug's
Yeah, I pay for it too.
We got you back, Brian.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Well, and then the other play that I really liked, looking at Chase Edmonds, he's around the 6,000 range too. He's put up some really nice numbers last few weeks. Is that a value there at running back?
My only concern with Edmonds, he is playing today, but he's missed practice all week long. He wasn't able to get any practice, but then early this morning they declared him in. I kind of wonder what his role will be. You know, James Conner stole a couple touchdowns last week, and so I wonder what his overall role will be. I still think he provides that good floor. I'm just not sure what his ceiling is coming off a week where he wasn't able to practice all week.
Mm-hmm. Henry Ruggs has elite speed, and he's going against the Bears secondary. Jalen Johnson's really good, but so far this year, the Bears safeties have been like, where did that guy go when they face Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase? So is that going to happen with Ruggs here? Can you depend on him to have at least one big one and really put up a good number?
Well, I think that's the thing with Ruggs. I mean, Ruggs is Ruggs because he's so hard to depend on in regards to getting multiple targets, multiple receptions. So you're always looking for that one big play from him. So if you're looking for a ceiling play, go with Ruggs. But I think if the rest of your lineup's more of a ceiling and not a floor, I wouldn't necessarily lean towards Ruggs. I'd rather go with someone more consistent.
So
Doug and I. Oh, go ahead, DJ.
No, go ahead. Continue.
Doug and I are big homers for the Bears. Damian Williams is going to get the start today. He's injured, and he was kind of questionable.
So, Brian, one of the guys I was really intrigued by this week on the other side of not Galladay was Damian Williams based on his price. So can you talk a little bit about Damian Williams?
I actually love Damian Williams. So I'm in the Scott Fish Bowl. I'm lucky enough to be in that. And I picked at the beginning of the season when we did our draft. I had both Montgomery and Williams. So I really love Williams. So and the price tag at 5,600 is really good too.
Do you think that's one of those guys that a lot of people are going to play?
It's hard to say because there's so many good running backs that are right at that 5,600 value. So I don't know if he may still be part of a contrarian thing. Because the other question I'm wondering, Dalvin Cook is kind of iffy, and it's not quite 10:30, so we haven't had our announcements as regards to what his status is. So Alexander Madison might be more considered a more value play in regards to size of the pool. And Damian Williams may be the one that's more contrarian. So
I think a lot of people are going to go with Justin Jefferson this week because of the matchup, but I'm kind of feeling Adam Thielen coming back and having a good game this week, just based on the fact that Detroit has maybe one good member of the secondary, so he might end up being on Jefferson. Thielen will get a lot of those targets. Do you think Thielen is a good idea this week?
Yeah. Thielen's a good one. I can't remember off the top of my head what Thielen's price is, but I definitely think he could be a good value play. Jefferson's price has shot up. He's done so well. His price is up to 7,700. So it's I don't know. I have a hard time getting pieces in at over 8,000. So I could definitely see Thielen being that backup play.
Jalen Waddell was another name that I looked at that I was surprised that his price tag was what it was. It's 4,800 right now. He's going against the worst team, I think, for wide receivers. So is that going to be a good play?
I think it's fine, but y'all just said you're Bears homers. So to be honest with you, for $100 less, I'd rather go with Darryl Mooney. So
yeah, for sure.
Excuse me, Darnell Mooney, but yeah, I would rather go with him. So
With A.J. Brown returning against a weak Jacksonville secondary, is that going to be a big play where you want to have that Tennessee Titans bounce back week where they try to prove to the world they're not as bad as the team that lost to the Jets?
yeah, and then also you got to keep in mind that Julio is still out one more week, so it's hard to get. It's obviously hard to get Henry in your lineup at over $9,000. So AJ Brown sitting at 6,500 would be a perfect play. And what other pieces do you have? Without Julio out, you've got a lot of they're decent receivers, but there's no star name out there, and they don't get much volume out of their tight ends. So I can see a lot of funneling. It's kind of like the Falcons game that's going on right now, with Pitts being so involved because every other receiving opportunity was gone. So.
Well, and A.J. Brown has kind of put up weird numbers so far this year. He's had a lot of targets, but hasn't had very many receptions. Does that mean a breakout is coming, or is he just having a little bit of a down year so far?
I could see a breakout, but most importantly, as we all know in terms of DraftKings, we're always looking at price tag. 6,500 is actually pretty cheap. He started out the season more close to 7, so at 6,500, we got to be willing to take some gambles. And, another gamble at that similar price tag would be like a Chris Godwin. So, but I'm fine taking a shot at 6,500 on A.J. Brown. It seems underpriced to me.
Way to answer my follow-up question, because I was just getting ready to say if you were going to stack a Brady lineup, what receiver are you going with?
That was my original thought process, was to go with the Brady lineup this week. I had Brady, and honestly, my favorite receiver out of the three is always Godwin. But Brown is at 5,200. So if you want to go a little cheaper, you can get him. And I'm have a comeback player of Gesicki in that game. He's had 140 yards receiving over the last 2 weeks, and I think it's 15 catches out of 18 targets. So he would be my comeback play.
Yeah, I think that actually is one of my favorite lineups that I set this week was stacking Brady and Antonio Brown and then coming back with Gesicki.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too because I think Gesicki, for his price tag, I'm always surprised to see him down the list as far as he is because he's so involved in that offense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, exactly. I always keep thinking he's going to shoot up closer to 6, but he always sits right around the 5 range. And he's an outstanding value play. So and the Bucs are one of my favorite teams this week. Actually, my 3 favorite teams that I'm kind of trying to lean on are the Bucs, the Cowboys, and you've always got to kind of see what you can get out of that Arizona offense. So.
Well, and then Brandon Cooks is somebody that I've loved, but after last week, it feels impossible to trust Davis Mills to be able to get him the ball enough. His price tag is pretty reasonable. Do you just expect him to get all the catches and all the targets, or are people going to start to just take him away when it comes to a player like Brandon Cooks?
I'm sorry, you have to repeat. I was in one of those modes where I got disconnected again.
Brandon Cooks is having a great year. His quarterback looks like he might be a free agent again very soon because he's no good. How do you kind of trust that teams aren't going to try to take away Brandon Cooks?
To be honest, this week I'm staying away from Brandon Cooks altogether. His price tag, he's had a great year considering how bad his quarterback play has been. But I actually said, I think possibly in our article, but certainly one of my articles this week, that if he gets 17 points, he'll have to be renamed Houdini because his quarterback play is so bad and the Patriots defense is so good. I just don't see him having a big week this week. But you never can tell. I thought that about 2 or 3 weeks ago when Davis Mills was named the starter. So.
Hey, Brian, before we lose you here, I do want to let you know they just came out. Dalvin Cook inactive today. So no Dalvin Cook.
Definitely want to consider Madison then as a kind of a smash play. I've been writing an injury article on Friday for another site, and from what I'd been reading all week, it sounded like he was very possible not to play today. So that's big news.
Yeah. So Brian, settle DJ and Doug's argument from earlier that made Doug go black over there. So if you're starting somebody, are you starting Trey Lance or are you starting Justin Fields? Because I've seen people put Trey Lance up around like the top 5 quarterbacks starting this week. That's very shocking to me.
It's a tough call, but honestly, I would rather have Fields. I think off the top of my head, he's about $500 cheaper, and Lance has got a really, really, really tough matchup against the Cardinals. I'm actually in a lot of my leagues, I'm actually playing the Cardinals defense because the one thing our rookie quarterbacks have done all year, including Trevor Lawrence or any of them, Mac Jones, name one, you can basically name about the 5 interceptions they've thrown. So I'm actually going with the Cardinals defense against Lance.
I thought that was a good play too because the Cardinals defense is around 2,900. That made a lot of sense to me. And looking at just that kind of same matchup, Trey Lance is probably going to lean pretty hard on Deebo Samuel. Does that make Deebo Samuel a big play, even though he has a pretty high price tag?
Honestly, at that price tag, I would stay away from him because whatever the best corner that Arizona has, and y'all. I'm not huge into IDP, but I heard y'all talking about it earlier. So whoever the best player is for their defense, they're gonna be covered Deebo hard. So I actually see more of a game where Lance turns to the ground more than to the air, especially with Kittle out.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
All right. Any other big plays this week, Brian, before we turn you loose?
I do have an additional question here for Brian. What are your big plays at tight end? I know that your only big play is Waller, but I feel like you kind of want to stay away from him because he is that only guy, or do you go up to him because he is that only high-priced guy this week?
Yeah, I like a Tyler, kind of a cheaper tight end. That he's kind of an ugly name, but like an Evan Ingram at 3,200 is pretty decent. And then Tyler Conklin at 35, especially in a game with an implied total of 29. I could.
Mm-hmm.
Well, James Conner also kind of caught my eye. James Conner hasn't been a guy, and I guess DJ and Doug, you can weigh in on this. James Conner's put up some nice numbers. James Conner hasn't been like very good when it comes to like price tag and things like that. He's at 5,600. So James Conner, do you think that is a player that you'd be interested in at all, Brian?
I would be interested in Conner. I was a lot more interested before I found out that his partner there, Edmonds, is going to play. But at the same time, I don't know, at 5,600 and it's the same price tag as Damian Williams, I'm still leaning towards Williams. But Conner's not a bad play. He had more value until earlier this morning for sure.
Brian, we want to thank you for joining us. We look forward to having you again next week, and we look forward to your article.
Well, guys, have a great day. Good luck in all your games.
You too.
Thanks, sir. You too.
Thanks, Brian.
Y'all take care. It's good seeing you.
Yep.
Good to see you. With 5 locations within the Quad Cities area, Ray's Barbershop has provided first-class service, haircutting, and shave since 2010. Ray's Barbershop has been voted the Quad Cities' favorite barbershop year after year. Ray's takes tremendous pride in their work and in maintaining the fine art of classic meets modern barbering. Ray's goes above and beyond to make sure our clients' level of satisfaction is met. You won't find the Ray's experience anywhere else. Located in the Belgium neighborhood of 7th Street in Moline, Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill's is home to some of the Quad Cities' best food and drink specials. On Sundays, there's no better place to be. Clint's is serving up 75-cent wings, $4 Bloody Marys, and $4 Bloody. You can tell I took the week off last week. We got $4 Bloody Marys all day. And your favorite team playing in those out-of-market games, you'll never miss a second of the action on one of their 10 screens with NFL Sunday Ticket. And after you've had your wing and bloody fix, finish off your football watching experience with one of their famous Quad City-style pizzas. And folks, they know pizza. They've been spinning QC-style pies for the last 22 years. So make Clint's part of your Sunday football routine. Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill, 7th Street in Moline. Who doesn't need a solid handcuff on their fantasy squad? grab a bite to eat at Clint's Draft House while watching the noon games, and then head on over across the Moline Rock Island border to the Corner Tap for some libations during the 3 o'clock games. Every Sunday is fun day at the corner with $3 tall boys, Bloody Marys, Jack Daniels, and $2 PBR drafts. Head into the Corner Tap, 4018 14th Avenue, Rock Island, and get into the end zone. So the guys aren't here right now. I guess they're back. But we do have some early inactives, active Mixon, Sutton, Antonio Gibson, Teddy Bridgewater, and TJ Hawkinson. Officially CMC, Dalvin Cook, and Julio Jones.
That's no bueno.
Yeah. Everybody's right.
I did see before, we're getting into running backs here. I did see that while Mixon was expected to play, they do expect it to be a little bit of a pitch count. So, I'm personally firing him up, but there might be some situations where he doesn't get those goal line carries or whatnot.
Tell us more about this fine fart, DJ, instead of fine art.
It's a tough word. Tough words. I just am thankful. I'm thankful I don't have a job where I have to read written things for a living. Just thankful.
You took the week off and you lost feeling like you were on that grind, just like Urban Meyer.
Oof.
All right, so I want to ask Chris. I don't think you were part of the discussion earlier this week because I put it in the Discord. But would you really take DeAndre Swift as the number 2 overall pick in a dynasty startup?
I don't know. I like his ceiling a lot right now. I think the way that he's being used right now would make me wary. I think he's being used as oddly as he is because he's more injured than they're willing to tell us right now. Watching the Bears game last week and seeing how much they were willing to just let Williams be in the game and be the primary runner of the football really worried me a lot. But I'm trending more towards that there's some sort of injury with Swift that's worse than we know, and they're just trying to protect him as much as possible here. I love his talent.
I was surprised to see him that high, considering that one, he's playing for Detroit. 2, like you said, the usage is weird, and 3, he wasn't somebody who was even on my radar in kind of that range, and then to see his ADP up there, I was shocked.
People love him right now. He's got that Alvin Kamara type of potential. He just needs that usage to go up, and that was a Kamara problem for a while there too. After Kamara had his big breakout, there was kind of a slump after that where you look at his numbers and people were worried because of Taysom Hill being the guy who got a lot of those weird red zone type of targets, and they didn't know about usage and things like that. I think it's a similar situation here because right now you never know when you're going to see Swift, except you're going to definitely see him when the Lions are trailing, and the Lions are always trailing. And Jared Goff would fit perfectly in a Matt Nagy offense because Jared Goff doesn't throw it 10 yards downfield. So he's going to be checking it down a lot to Hawkinson. He's going to be checking it down a lot to Swift. And because of that, their value is going to skyrocket.
All right, that is fair. James Robinson this week, that was on Brian's fire plays for this week. What do we like about him versus that Titans defense?
Like we said before, the Titans have had this very odd season where they just haven't been very good. And I know
It got
Robinson
DJ too.
Also not good. What?
Oh, your internet's back now. You're good.
Oh, did my internet go out for a second there?
Yeah.
Either that or he's got a new stutter.
DJ's got robot voice.
It's funny because Chris said that in the T-Pain voice.
Yeah. I got skills. What do you want?
Yeah,
Saquon, I think, is a good play here because he showed that he's kind of back to himself a little bit. And this is going to be a big marquee matchup where he gets to really show off that he's back at the peak of his powers too.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see. That game will be fun if you like bruising running backs. So
Yeah. And Saquon usually has a pretty good day against Dallas as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So as our scroller goes by here and it says that Mixon is in, is he on the next page, Deej, or did you not rank him?
not so. When I did this on Wednesday, I kind of in the situation with, with me being at work all day and, just trying to pick my times where I have an opportunity to do rankings. And I did these on Thursday where he was pretty trending towards doubtful. So he is not on the page, but I would start him and trust him as an RB2.
Okay. Speaking of RB2, why don't you slide on over to that page and we'll see what nonsense you've got there.
Let me do the Chris Collinsworth slide onto the next slide.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I know Brian thought Damian Williams is a good DFS play. I would stay away from that. I know that Bill Lazor likes to run the ball, and he likes to run the ball a lot. To me, it feels like Khalil Herbert is going to be more of a first down back than Damian Williams really is. So I would be surprised if you don't see Khalil Herbert steal some carries in there too. Damian Williams with that bad hip too, they might just be trying to kind of put him on a little bit of a pitch count and use him when they think it's necessary. So I'm worried about that more than anything. I expected Damian Williams to flash a little bit more than he has in the preseason and early on this year. I think it's a smart play. If he bombs, I wouldn't be surprised by it.
I'm actually a big fan of Damian Williams and expect him to do well. He's played in the Nagy offense. He's had success in the Nagy offense. And I'm just a fan of Williams. And I think on to Doug's question about Mixon. On Doug's question with Mixon, as I would probably slot Mixon there as 14 and move everybody down one.
Yeah. Again, Chuba Hubbard is somebody that I was kind of low on last week. I would say I'm probably still pretty low on him. He got 13 carries last week and had 57 yards. So that's not what you want to see out of somebody like that who's getting primary touches. He made up for it with a few receptions, I think, as well. But I would be wary of how often he's getting started and how much people are playing him in daily fantasy.
Right. Yeah. I had a couple lineups where I kind of bounced, and when I was writing the rapid fires, I'm honestly curious about what they're going to do with Royce Freeman as well.
Doug, where are you at on Josh Jacobs? He's coming back off of an injury. The Bears have Eddie Goldman back, and it was good to see Eddie Goldman looking like a really, really good player again. Now Akeem Hicks is a maybe for this game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that opens things up for Jacobs? Because I think they're going to try to run the ball a lot more, because when they tried to just get out there and chuck it against not San Diego, but when they went out and tried to just chuck it against the Chargers, Vegas kind of got exposed a little bit. So do you think this is a run game that is going to kind of take off a little bit?
Yeah, actually, I do. And I think I saw last night that they declared one, I can't remember who it was, the injury report was one of them is not making the trip. Let me see if I can find that real quick. I'm going to Google that for you as I scroll. Yeah, Akeem Hicks is out as of yesterday. So I'm going to go with, he's probably going to have a fairly decent day. He's going to run in. And now he's got to get past Roquan and Tree. Yeah. But I still think that he's probably going to have himself a decent day.
Yeah.
In there.
I mean, DJ, how do you kind of justify Antonio Gibson? Because I know he's really talented. He just hasn't been what I think people expected him to be this year. Is that one that you feel like you have to put around that 13 range just because he can break out and he can kind of bust as well? So it's kind of like in between.
they've been really liking McKissick in the passing game, but yeah, he's kind of like how we've talked about like Mike Evans in the wide receiver conversations, to where you do feel like he's gonna bust out, and every week's gonna be that week that he busts out. And I know he's not the same breed as these guys, but New Orleans has been susceptible to the run. McCaffrey, 24 carries, 72 yards, touchdown on 5 catches, 65 yards, and then Barkley 13, 52 and 1, and then 5 for 74 and 1. Mm-hmm. So they have had these dynamic backs be able to do some stuff against them. Week 1 they were good, but they led the Green Bay that entire game. So how many, there wasn't a whole lot of touches for Dylan and Aaron Jones, and then Brandon Bolden was the primary running back against them in week 3. So I think that you could see this game where if Gibson gets the touches, if New Orleans doesn't go up big, you could see Gibson kind of bust out for the year and figure it out. But then again, like since we do have him on this ticker as in this week, you don't know what kind of pitch count he's going to be on either.
Chase Edmonds, I think, is a great matchup. San Francisco's defense looks lost this year, and they just haven't been themselves. I think that he's going to be a great play. I've always been thinking that he was a fantastic player, and he's really proven it this year. I love that matchup. Damian Harris is a player that I forgot was on New England.
Dude, it's kind of crazy the way Damian Harris just all of a sudden, like he plods. And he plods and he plods, and then he gets into the end zone, and then you're happy you started him, and then he doesn't get into the end zone, and you're like, why did I start this guy?
Same thing with Zach Moss.
Yeah, but Zach Moss does.
Zach Moss is talented, yeah.
Doug and I were talking about this briefly before the show with him and Singletary, and I said, with them playing Kansas City, who knows?
Yeah.
Just absolutely who knows. And
I love that.
I think once you get to this 22 range again, with these rankings, you have 4 teams missing because there's a Rams, Seattle. So you have no Darrell Henderson, no Chris Carson. I know he didn't play anyway. And then you're thinking no Atlanta guys, not that anybody's on there. But I think once you get to 22, you're kind of in your flex area. These are kind of, so 1 through 21, you're willing to fire them up in the running back, and then 22 down, those are decent flex options.
So I'm going to do a thing real quick. Doug, what is our show about? The show that we do right now. What is it about?
Chaos.
Well, that's true. But I would say it's mostly about fantasy advice. And DJ's fantasy advice just a minute ago was, who knows?
That's true. Also, I was not paying attention. I think we've ran over time on this.
Oh, for sure, Doug.
Yes, that's the other thing that this show is also about is not following the shot sheet and not staying on track.
Well, we're gonna get through these last running backs, and then we're gonna carry on.
Okay.
So you're going with Trey Sermon more than Elijah Mitchell? Wow, I caught DJ's speech pattern from earlier. Elijah Mitchell?
Yeah.
You think so? You think he maintains that top spot?
I think that just like this show, and I just closed out of everything, just like this show, I think when you talk about the running backs in San Francisco, you're talking about chaos. And I think he's got the chance to make the bigger plays.
Nyheim Hines, I think, is a decent play. Last week, I was not about any of that, and he went out and fumbled immediately and then never was seen again. So I would think this would be a good bounce back spot for him to get him, maybe if he's got a lower price tag in daily as well.
So speaking of lower price tag, and I did this in one of my free lineups because I'm not willing to spend money on this. Here's my prediction of the day: is Kyle Juszczyk scores a touchdown today for the Niners.
Okay.
Oh,
I think they'll use him in the passing game with Kittle not playing, and I think that he is the goal line back realistically for them. So I think this is a situation where, and like I said, I did throw him in a free DFS lineup, but I think he scores.
Juszczyk in that game against the Packers outscored a lot of the like high-end fantasy talents out there. So it's not a bad idea. DJ has to specify that it's a free lineup so he's not getting in trouble with his wife.
That's exactly how that goes. All right, hey, before you go to commercial.
She's going to hear that. She's going to be like, you started Kyle Juszczyk? What are you thinking?
Throwing money away, DJ.
Yeah. So before we go to commercial, since we're doing this one short, let's jump to tight ends on the other side of that, and that'll give us the full time for wide receivers because they're obviously a little bit more in depth there.
10-4, buddy.
All right.
Seems like that could have been an email. Bad Boys Pizza isn't hard to find. Now serving in 3 different locations: Moline, Davenport, and downtown Davenport at River Music Experience. Their restaurant and bar stays open late, not only on the weekends, but weekdays too. Bad Boys specializes in Quad City style pizza and daily specials, so be sure to keep your eye out for those. They also offer food carryout and pizza delivery options at your convenience. They have a full bar at all 3 locations with 24 taps in Moline, 32 taps in Davenport, and 20 in downtown Davenport. They also host exciting events such as Quad City Storm, NFL Sunday ticket giveaways, and other sports viewing parties. Bad Boys always has the coldest beer, and the atmosphere is always welcoming. For great people, drinks, and Quad City style pizza, choose Bad Boys. Durham Remodeling has been serving the Quad Cities area since 1973. With nearly 50 years of excellence on their track record, you'll see why it's so easy to trust their experts when it comes to all your home improvement projects. Durham Remodeling's work is 100% guaranteed, so you can rest assured that you're getting the best service around. Call 309-786-6715 for all your roofing, siding, flooring, windows, and painting needs. That's Durham Remodeling, 309-786-6715. It's Sunday Fun Day over at Frick's Tap. Iowa's second oldest bar is guaranteed to have your favorite team on one of their 13 TV screens with NFL Sunday Ticket. Get on into Frick's now, where they'll be joined by Smoked Out Smokehouse every Sunday, and boy, does that menu look great. Barbecue smoked ribs, pork chops, wings, you name it, you can get it during your football game over at Frick's. So for Frick's sake, head into Frick's, 1402 West 3rd Street, Davenport.
Full confession, I stumbled over Smoked Out Smokehouse like twice last week too. That is not an easy sentence to say.
It's a tongue twister.
It is. All righty. So let's take a look at the tight ends.
Oh, Doug, I want you to know, and I messaged Chris about this at work earlier this week, is now just like him, every time I'm like in a place where I need like a conjoining word, it's always so.
Whenever you're ready to move on, just drop in a so.
Yes, that is my signature. Ooh, that is an ugly list.
Yeah, it's rough.
No Kittle. Immediately that list gets ugly quick.
Schultz, I think DJ, you're right there. That's a really good play. It's against one of the worst units facing tight ends so far this year. Dalton Schultz proves that he's actually a pretty good pass catcher, I think, this year. The only thing that I'm worried about is their other tight end is pretty good too, and he might steal like a couple of catches from him. But otherwise, I think that's a really good matchup. And my boy Dawson Knox that I talked about from show 1 just keeps creeping up the list here.
Yeah, and I expect he's going to have a pretty decent game today. And on what you were saying about Schultz, I do think that, again, I'm willing to fire him up, but I also think that I also want to send him out because, like you said, Jarwin is going to start taking a lot of those targets away. because they are both very talented. And I think this is your opportunity to sell high on Schultz.
What's your opinion on Hunter Henry? Because Hunter Henry feels like he is just waiting to go off. This is a perfect fit for him. I was so excited to get him in one league, and now he's done absolutely nothing so far this year. Where's Hunter Henry, and how does he start to get involved in this offense?
Good question.
Okay.
No,
Great answer.
I think every week you are like, is this a Hunter Henry week? Is this a Jonnu Smith week? And every week it's kind of been like, no. And Mac Jones seems to look for like Jacoby Myers in the red zone a lot more than he's looking for Henry and Jonnu Smith, which I think, like I said, you really expected that to be the case. I think we were all excited, even when they signed both of them, that they both had fantasy appeal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, Henry's their number one tight end, and I did start him in a couple plays DFS-wise, but I'd like to think this is his breakout week, and that's why I have him here at number 10. And I think to even say here at 11 is really disappointing too.
Yeah. They've fallen out of love. And that's what Doug and I talked about last week is Rodgers loves his guys right up until he leaves them, and then he leaves them, and then there's no love for them anymore, just like his family. So Robert Tonyan is now a part of Aaron Rodgers' family where he is not going to communicate with him. He doesn't care about him anymore. I do love Jared Cook, though. I think Jared Cook is a sneaky play. He looked really good last week against the Raiders. So that's going to be somebody that I think if you're looking for somebody that you can probably fire up this week that may catch people by surprise, that would be one.
It was a revenge game. No, but I understand that. Jared Cook, the ageless wonder. I was burnt a little bit by him when he wasn't awesome against the Chiefs, but yeah, I'm completely on the side of Jared Cook.
All right. That will take us to the end of this segment. Deej, why don't you go ahead, hit the commercial button, and we will round up wide receivers on the other side. That looks like our questions are rolling in, so make sure you do get those in. We'll answer those at the tail end in the final segment.
We really do need to invest in one of those commercial buttons. That would be swell, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Why don't you get on that, Doug?
I have the ability. I just need somebody to read it because I'm not doing it.
Don't you have kids?
No.
I'll read them, Doug.
The kids are on strike.
All right, I'm pushing the commercial button. Click. With 5 locations within the Quad Cities area, Ray's Barbershop has provided first-class service, haircutting, and shave since 2010. Ray's Barbershop has been voted the Quad Cities' favorite barbershop year after year. Ray's takes tremendous pride in their work and in maintaining the fine art of classic meets modern barbering. Ray's takes tremendous pride in their... I said that already. Oh, Chris. Ray's goes above and beyond to make sure our clients
love... I got him, Doug. I got him.
You won't find Ray's experience anywhere else. Located in the Belgium neighborhood of 7th Street in Moline, Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill is home to some of the Quad Cities' best food and drink specials. On Sundays, there's no better place to be. Clint's is serving up 75-cent wings and $4 Bloody Marys all day. And your favorite team played in those out-of-market games? You'll never miss a second of the action on one of their 10 screens with NFL Sunday Ticket. And after you've had your wing and bloody fix, finish your football watching experience off with one of their famous Quad City style pizzas. And folks, they know pizza. They've been spinning QC style pies for the last 22 years. So make Clint's part of your Sunday football routine. Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill, 7th Street, Moline. And who doesn't need a solid handcuff on their fantasy squad? Grab a bite to eat at Clint's Draft House while watching the noon games, and then head on over across the Moline Rock Island border to the Corner Tap for some libations during the 3 o'clock games. Every Sunday is fun day at the Corner with $3 tall boys, Bloody Marys, Jack Daniels, and $2 PBR drafts. Head into the Corner Tap, 4018 14th Avenue, Rock Island, and get into the end zone.
I miss Nate.
Me too.
DJ read it better with a fake voice than his real voice.
I know, right? He doesn't anything with that.
I kept feeling like I sounded like Duff Man.
You were a little Duff Man there.
And
with your PBR fix.
Sunday.
All right.
Okay, let's take a look at what we've got. Why do you keep putting Tyreek Hill up so high?
Did we miss what he did last week?
Yeah, actually I did. I didn't watch a second of that game, and I didn't hear anything about him.
Like,
did he do something?
It was very good.
Catches, 168 yards, 2 tutters. It was very good.
Like, literally no fantasy thing that I read or saw this week had mentioned him at all.
He's now wide receiver 2 on the year, FYI.
Okay. Just checking.
Well, I'm going to mute DJ's mic like he did to me earlier and just tell you, Doug, that he did very well.
11 for 186 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
All right. Then why is nobody talking about it?
I'm definitely with Brian. I'm not feeling the Deebo Samuel love in this game. It might be a good time for a Brandon Ayuk sighting. Right now, Deebo is way overvalued, especially in daily fantasy. I think that it's going to be a tumultuous start for Trey Lance. I think he's very talented. From his first preseason game, he looked amazing. And then his second preseason game, he looked terrible. So I think it might have been just Trey Lance trying to figure out what he can do. But at the same time, he has a great coach behind him that's going to make sure that he's able to be put in a position to win. Unlike other first-round quarterbacks who are not put in a position to win during their first start. But I like Trey Lance. I think he's going to have a good week this week. I don't think that Deebo is going to be the beneficiary of that.
So you think
That's right.
I don't think that's a terrible take. One of the things I see here is Arizona has given up the 8th most fantasy points to wide receivers. But if you look at this, like Chester Rogers, 4 catchers for 62 yards. It's been a lot of like the second guy, like you were alluding to. KJ Osborne, 5 for 91 and a touchdown. I mean, Jefferson and Thielen are both really good in that game too. But Chark, 3 for 49 and a touch. And then the big one is Van Jefferson in week 4 with 6 catches, 90 yards and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, it has been that second guy that's been the beneficiary. So not the guy that Doug's friend Buda Baker's been covering.
I was thinking of that earlier. And if you kind of look at the way Arizona's like fantasy points have worked out defensively, it's been have a good game, have a terrible game, have a good game, have a terrible game. So I think they're kind of due for a terrible game again here.
Yeah.
Well, also kind of taking a look at another matchup that made a lot of sense to me. Justin Jefferson's going against the Lions, but this is another one where I would feel like you'd be better off throwing off a little bit here because their secondary has been pretty good against like taking away your top targets. Maybe I'm just thinking about that because of what happened last week and Allen Robinson not really mattering as much as he should have. But I think they do a good job of taking away the top target. The secondary target's the one that ends up getting a ton of the fantasy points.
Right. And I agree. Looking at the stats, it is a lot of your bias off of last week with Mooney blowing up because week 1, Deebo 9 for 189 and a score. Week 2, Devontae Adams 8 for 121. Then nothing really from Baltimore, but they don't really have a number one receiver. And then, like you said, Mooney 125 last week, and Robinson just 3 for 63.
Marquise Brown keeps dropping in the rankings, just like he keeps dropping every pass that he tries to catch. But I think what happened early on in the season is the Lions have their cornerback who is very talented that was hurt at the beginning of the year. And I cannot pronounce his name because it has all the letters in it. But he's very good. He was hurt to start the year. He came back, and that kind of started that trend.
Yeah.
All right, pitch 2. Because I've got Arizona wide receivers to talk about.
You have who wide receivers to talk about?
The Arizona wide receivers, because maybe they're not on your list, but AJ Green has been showing up the last 2 weeks, and then Rondale Moore died. Like, he went into witness protection after the first 2 weeks.
He went into witness protection after you started him, Doug. It's all your fault.
I know it's my fault.
You did
I know
it.
Rondale Moore went into witness protection because that's my fault. But I did not see AJ Green come.
I learned it from you, Doug. I learned it from you.
Yeah, I know.
Jamar Chase is averaging a touchdown a game. Do we think that's going to continue?
Yeah.
Yeah, our big thing with Jamar Chase every week has been like, well, if he doesn't score, well, he does score.
That's a legitimate thing. Last week he didn't score for the first time, but because T. Higgins was out, his fantasy performance didn't suffer at all from it because he got 9 targets. Now with T. Higgins back, is he going to go back to 4 to 5 targets? Because if he goes back to 4 to 5, then he's a risky play. He has to get in the end zone for that to matter.
Kyle Pitts, by the way, is out here doing Kyle Pitts things.
Yeah, I know. I was glad that I started him in fantasy because I forgot that game started so early.
Jets pulled within 3 with under 7 to go. Oh.
Yeah, and then Kyle Pitts just caught like a 40-yard pass.
Yeah, I'm just seeing it just now.
Catch up your TV, Doug. DJ, what do you...
I stream.
Speaking of wide receivers who disappeared, what do you think about Mike Williams, DJ? Because he's one of the best wide receivers through the first couple of weeks. Last week he disappeared. Is he going to bounce back this week, or is his time kind of flying under the radar over?
I mean, Cleveland's defense is very good.
Excellent.
But they've allowed the 6th fewest points to opposing wide receivers, but they have been susceptible to letting one guy kind of go off. And so it just kind of depends on who that guy is, who they're going to try to take away. And so are they going to try to take away Williams, or are they going to try to take away Keenan Allen?
I mean, I would try to take away Keenan Allen, but that's a tough matchup either way. I think that Denzel Ward is one of the best corners in football that most people don't know about.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like I was saying there, week 1, Tyreek 11, 197, 1. Nothing from wide receiver 2. Brandon Cooks, week 2, 978, 1. Nothing from the second receiver. They did shut down Allen Robinson week 3, but that was more because there was never an opportunity to get a pass off. And then Jefferson last week, 684 and 1, and then nothing from Thielen and Osborne. So I think the big thing is which receiver is going to eat Keenan Allen or Mike Williams.
You've got Tyler Boyd in here at 20. Would you put T. Higgins there in his place, knowing that T. Higgins is going to be healthy and go at least?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. With Cooks, are you as concerned about him as I am? Because I've benched him the last 2 weeks just because I don't trust Mills. I think that they have a good relationship, but Mills is just a turnover machine, and I just can't trust him.
Yeah. I just think that's one of those scenarios where there isn't really anybody else to throw to. So the volume will be there. So I think that he can get enough production to be worth starting as a wide receiver too.
Say you're in a fantasy league that's a dynasty league, and you have Allen Robinson right now.
I'm in a fantasy league that's a dynasty league, and I have Allen Robinson now.
Okay, are you trying to move him because you could sell him on the fact that potentially next year he could be on a completely different team and he could be a number one wide receiver?
I am willing to be in the situation, if I have Allen Robinson, to guarantee that Allen Robinson doesn't have an inept head coach next year.
Okay. DJ
So,
thinks he's going to be on the Chiefs, Doug. Chiefs.
I just think he'll either be on a new team or Matt Nagy won't be the head coach of the Bears.
That sounds very likely. I don't know that Matt Nagy's a coach of the Bears now, so.
Touche.
Go to screen 3 because I have a question. Because I want to see, speaking of Chiefs. Por favor.
DJ forgot how computers work. There it is.
Yes, Doug, if the question was Josh Gordon originally on this slide? The answer is yes, and I replaced him with Darnell Mooney.
Okay. I will admit that I didn't think I thought he would get suspended before we got here. I mean, there's still time before kickoff, but he's managed to make it to Sunday.
So, Doug, you think he's going to roll out of the practice field like smoking a J through his helmet?
Yes. I would see that in a heartbeat.
I think you got Jacoby Myers a little low here, DJ. I think that he is fantastic, and obviously Mac Jones is having eyes for him right now. So I love what I'm seeing from him, and I think that's something that's really going to vault forward. Where are you with Shenault? Because big week last week, Trevor Lawrence finally gets going, and it looks like that connection to Shenault might be starting to develop. Are you buying in already, or do you want to see more?
I'm actually really excited about the majority of the guys on this slide. Obviously Parker's out, so that does elevate Jalen, as you would call him, Waddell. That does elevate him slightly, but I'm really excited about this set of receivers. And if I had these receivers, I would consider them as definitely flex options. As far as Shenault, I think that he definitely did progress as the number one receiver last week and overtake Marvin Jones, but I'd like to see a second week of it before I'm really sold on him.
How do you say Jalen's last name?
Waddle.
Like Is it Waddle?
Like
I always thought it was Waddell. They always said it that way when they had him on the Alabama games. Never mind.
Waddle like a duck.
Yeah, okay, fine.
And that other receiver, his last name is Smith.
Oh, which one?
Devontae.
Not John?
Nah, not John.
Darnell Mooney is getting more targets than Allen Robinson. Darnell Mooney may be the number one wide receiver on the Bears right now, and that's kind of silly, but it's actually true.
That's why I said, I'm pretty excited about the majority of these guys.
And it seems like they're actually making an effort to have that happen. So I don't know if they're just resigned to the fact that Allen Robinson's not going to be back next year and they're trying to just develop Mooney as much as possible, or what is really going on there. Or maybe we're just waiting for that day where Allen Robinson has a big game and blows somebody out.
Mooney and Fields are supposedly like besties off the field. Like there was a video, like Instagram or TikTok or something, where they were like working out together. So supposedly those two are tight off the field. So that's probably where a lot of it comes from. I will suffer no Allen Robinson slander here. I will walk off this show again, even though we're heading into the final segment. Deej, do your thing.
Do I have to?
Not that thing, the other thing, the reading thing.
I'm not very good at that.
That's the part he doesn't know if he has to do it or not.
Bad Boys Pizza isn't hard to find. Now serving in 3 different locations: Moline, Davenport, and downtown Davenport at River Music Experience. Their restaurant and bar stays open late, not only on the weekends, but the weekdays too. Bad Boys specializes in Quad City style pizza and daily specials, so be sure to be on the lookout for those. They also offer food carryout and pizza delivery options at your convenience. They have a full bar at all 3 locations with 24 taps in Moline, 32 taps in Davenport, and 20 in downtown Davenport. They also host exciting events such as Quad City Storm parties, NFL Sunday ticket giveaways, and other sports viewing parties. Bad Boys always has the coldest beer, and the atmosphere is always welcoming. For great pizza, drinks, and Quad City style pizza, choose Bad Boys. It's Sunday Fun Day over at Frick's Tap. Iowa's second oldest bar is guaranteed to have your favorite team on one of their 13 TV screens with NFL Sunday ticket. Get into Frick's now, where they'll be joined by Smoked Out Smokehouse every Sunday. And boy, does that menu look great. Barbecue, smoked ribs, pork chops, wings, you name it, you can get it during your football game over at Frick's. So for Frick's sake, head into Frick's, 1402 West 3rd Street, Davenport. So before we get back to this final segment, we did this thing while we were up at Kavanaugh's during the first year of For Fantasy Sake, where we did a charity of the week. So I know October's highly publicized as being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but one of the other awarenesses in October that's highly supported and hits close to home for me, it's Pregnancy and Infancy Loss Awareness Month. And today I'm wearing this t-shirt that says pain is real, but so is hope. And this is in honor of a mutual friend of mine and my wife's, who is going through some IVF treatments to try and have another child. They've already adopted one, but so they sold these t-shirts because IVF is very expensive. And so if you'd be interested in purchasing a shirt to support them, reach out to me. I can get you in contact with that stuff. But if not, just keep in mind, some of those people, that you see that are married, why aren't you, when you guys having a kid, maybe those people necessarily can't, or they're having trouble. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, it's one of those causes that hits, close to home with me. So, like I said, keep in mind October, not only Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but Pregnancy and Infant Loss Month. So
it's a good call out, DJ. And so anybody who wants to help out with that should reach out directly to the website or directly message you. Is that right?
Yeah, you can reach out to the For Fantasy Sake DMs, or you can reach out directly to me on Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And I'll get you in contact with the website if you're interested in buying one of these shirts.
Awesome.
All right, so let's turn this shit back up.
There's a transition. That's better than so. All right, questions right from the top. Ethan Gordon wants to know, pick one of John Ross, Robbie Anderson, Zach Pascal, or Sammy Watkins.
Punt.
What'd you say?
Punt.
Punt.
Yeah.
Punt is exactly the right answer.
Sammy Watkins.
Chiefs,
I really wanted Robbie.
Chiefs.
I just really wanted Robbie Anderson to be a thing, and the fact that he's not really just.
Yeah, see, I was going to say Robbie Anderson.
I think it's Robbie Anderson. That's the one with the most talent, I think, there.
Yeah.
What do you think of John Ross, though, DJ? Are you going to get back on that tumultuous roller coaster that is John Ross?
No, I'll pass. I was excited to see that he did get in the end zone last week and hooked to Daniel Jones, especially with Sterling Shepard out. There is a potential, but I think that he's got to catch a long touchdown. It's got to be like one of those where he can turn around and catch it like a punt because his hand's not good. So
hands are no good. Okay.
All right, Charles Owen, his set of questions. LaVisca or Deontay Johnson?
He put D Johnson there. I'm assuming it's Deontay and Deontay all day.
Yeah, I think that's the main go.
Correct. Mixon or CEH?
Mixon.
CEH.
CEH.
I think there's too many unknowns.
Boyd or Cooper?
Cooper.
Yeah, Cooper.
You mean start Boyd.
I had to head check there because I was like, is he talking about Cooper Kupp? Because he just played.
Mixon or Damian Williams?
Mixon.
Damian Williams. I hate myself for it.
No, not as much as I hate myself for saying Mixon. Ugh. I'm going to take my friend Eva's dog, Damian, in that scenario. All right. Jake Scudder wants to know Alex Madison or Joe Mixon?
Madison.
Madison.
Madison. Herbert or Daniel Jones?
Herbert.
Herbert or who? Oh, okay. Yeah,
All right.
I would go with Herbert.
Jalen Hurts or no? You don't get to change that. Nuh-uh.
No, my question was Herbert or who, and then I figured out what you were talking about.
No. He misspelled Daniel Jones's name on the sheet, and now he went in there and changed it. It was
Oh, I see.
Daniil. So Jalen Hurts or Daniil Jones?
Hurts.
He could throw to Jalen Waddell.
Yes.
Doug, I went a whole season where Mike Gesicki was Mick, so calm down.
That's
Yeah,
true.
we haven't had a Mick Gesicki sighting in a while. All right, I'll take Hurts there as well. And then your flex spot is Zach Moss or Antonio Brown?
Zach Moss.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking Antonio Brown there as well. All right, and then Gunnar wants to know why I won't trade him Justin Fields, and the answer to that is obvious.
It's guy love. There's no other love like guy love.
True. All right, here we go. Rapid fires to wrap it up. More rushing yards, Dalvin Cook or DeAndre Swift?
Well, obviously that's not Cook because he's not playing. If I were to replace that with Alexander Madison, I would say DeAndre Swift.
It's a
I would
push.
say Swift.
Yeah.
Kamara over under 106 total yards.
Over.
Under.
Over.
Mac Jones over under 252 and a half passing yards. Under.
Over.
Over. They don't have anybody to run.
Wheel of Bucks wide receivers. I feel like it's a Godwin week.
Godwin.
That's crazy.
Top scoring week 5 quarterback.
Allen.
Really? Kyler.
Lamar.
Doug, I have a mission for you.
Actually know what games are being played this week?
No. I have a mission for you.
Yes.
Not only that, that's a good one. Know which games are being played. But at the start of the show every week, I go over 24 quarterbacks with their names. And that question is on rapid fire every week. So starting next week, I want you to write down who your top scoring player at each position is while we go through the slides. That way, when this question comes up, you don't have to think.
Yeah, no.
DJ, I'm not doing any homework. I was told there'd be no homework. And DJ's out here trying to be like DraftKings now, where he's just like, I have a mission for you.
I have no mission.
I never.
More receiving yards this week. Jamar Chase or Devontae Adams?
Adam.
Yeah.
Iowa Penn State Part 2. More fantasy points, Fant or Pat Fryermuth?
Fant.
Fant. But will they rush the field afterwards?
That's so lame.
That was cool.
You know why fans don't have any reason to rush the field.
You're higher ranked than the other team, and you're at home. You should win.
Yeah, they haven't had
Lame.
a top 5
Lame.
win.
See Alabama fans out there doing
Okay,
it.
DJ, have fun. Illinois is going to have 2 wins, and Iowa's going to be ranked number 2.
Lame. L-A-M-E, lame.
So why do fans rush the field when they actually kick a field goal, when they actually make the field goal?
Well, the A&M game, I swear he missed it. Until the announcer said it was good, I thought he missed it. So,
well, we're getting changed on question 8. Roll Tide, Devontae Smith over under 60.5 receiving yards. Over.
I think he comes back down to earth after last week. I'm going to go under.
All right, top scoring running back this week.
Aaron Jones. Chris, you're going to have to write this shit down too.
I don't want to.
Derrick Henry.
I was trying to remember if Christian McCaffrey was actually going to play or not, or
No,
if
he's
he's
out.
still up in the air. Okay.
No.
Kamara.
All right. More turnovers, Trevor Lawrence or Ryan Tannehill?
Tannehill.
Lawrence.
Actually, it's Lawrence.
Lawrence.
All right. More fantasy points, Chubb or Eckler?
Eckler.
Chubb. Justin Fields over under 205.5 passing yards. I feel over.
Think
I
so?
thought that was a really weird number.
It was 205.
Yeah.
205.5.
Well, that half, that's going to matter. Yeah, I would go over that.
Darren Waller over under 68.5 receiving yards. Can the Bears stop a tight end?
Under. Not over. Over. I flip-flopped.
I think if they can stop the ball from getting into his hands, I think that he'll be under. But if he catches any ball, Eddie Jackson isn't going to tackle him, Doug. You know these things. We've watched these games. He cannot tackle people.
I don't know what happened there, but I agree with you. So let's go over on that one. Top scoring wide receiver.
Diggs.
You betting against your own team?
He's been doing that the entire show, Doug. That's his thing right now. He's just all like,
he's trying to reverse.
He is. That's 100% what it is. It's, the Chiefs are so bad. I'm gonna pick against them and everyone so they outdo my expectations, and then they are, and then I'm gonna be all like, yay!
Yes, he was also wearing a shirt yesterday that said "fuck Tom Brady." So
I was.
Give me.
I had a good idea and then I forgot who it was. Oh, it's DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. Okay,
Agreed.
that's a good one. Give me Nuke. Nope, that's the wrong switch. More rushing yards, Trey Lance or Kyler Murray? Trey Lance.
Yeah, Trey Lance.
Yeah.
More fantasy points, Saquon or Zeke?
Zeke.
Saquon. Chiefs, Bills, over, under 56 total points.
Over.
I'm going
56?
over because Bills will score 56 on their own.
Yeah, it's over.
All right. Top week 5 tight end.
Dawson Knox.
Well, we can't have Waller go over 86 yards and not be tight end 1, so I'm going to go with Waller.
Actually, I was going to go Mark Andrews because he's got the Colts and they're not good.
I get it.
All right. More rushing yards, Jonathan Taylor or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar.
Taylor.
I'll go Taylor. My wife is watching TikTok. It's very distracting up there. All right. Last 2 questions. Are you surprised they didn't fire Urban Meyer this week?
No.
I am.
A little bit.
Yeah, there's a kitty. I don't know where mine is to come also invade the show, but
yeah, he's gonna sneak along until he can try to run away to USC. Or no, I'm sorry. Everybody thinks he's gonna go to USC. He's actually gonna go to Texas.
I was gonna say, is Texas back when they hire Urban Meyer?
Oh, for sure.
All right, and last but not least, inspired by Nate's question of, okay, let's do this in 2 parts. First, Nate's question: nachos or mozzarella sticks?
Mod sticks.
Nachos.
With a side of ranch.
He said restaurant, so I'm gonna go nachos because restaurants do nachos to the extreme, and I love it.
Okay, and then the actual question from the sheet.
So to go on that, last week at Busch Stadium, I got tachos. And the thing was the size of like a small pizza box, and it was only $20. And Megan and I couldn't even finish it. It was so much food. And that's a very good quality for a baseball game.
Speaking of that, Chris, I didn't see there was a Dodgers game this.
So, Chris, last question. Favorite game snack?
Favorite game snack? Like at home or at the ballpark?
Either or, both.
Okay. Probably at the ballpark. I like the nachos every time, even if it's just like the generic nacho cheese and those terrible, terrible chips. I love it. There's something like really great about it. Game time snack for football season's tacos. It's the best.
I want combos, man. So I'll eat bag of combos while I'm watching the game.
Mhm.
I think at the stadium / ballpark, I want a hot dog, and there's just something about when it sits in the warming tray and the bun and the hot dog become one. That's just really delicious to me. And then at home, I really like pretzels. And honestly, anything that I can chew on that keeps me from biting on my fingernails during Chiefs games.
At home, we make this really good like cheeseburger cheese dip. It's amazing. So we can do that.
Yeah. All right. That will take us, thankfully, to the end of this segment. Are you going to cut me off again?
No. The Jets won, or the Falcons won 27-20.
Nobody knows who won because DJ's telling us different stories.
Falcons won 27.
There you go.
Okay. Sure they did. All right. So that'll do it. We want to thank our primary sponsor, Mobile Party Experiences. I don't think I did that at the top of the show, and they're going to be mad at me for that. So we want to thank them here at the end of the show. We will see you all next week. Make sure you check in with Mike and Nick tomorrow night on Monday Night Hammer. They will wrap up the week that was and get you ready for the Monday night game. So for Chris, for Deej, I am Doug. We will see y'all next week.